Another day in paradise. Welcome to the Queen Amina show. It's such a beautiful, lovely day today. I am pretty sure the moment I come live, you see the notification. So why don't you go ahead and share this wonderful broadcast coming your way on your platform so that your other people, your friends, your family can connect with us today. Send in your questions and make sure you're following us and you're subscribed to our brand new YouTube channel. Today, our guest is Mr. Ibraheem Ola Haruna. He is going to be with us today for another 1 hour. But before we properly introduce him, I want us to watch a clip. And give me a moment.
There were no countries in Africa before colonization. There was states led by respected traditional leaders. Each state had its own language is equally respected. We were Christians but worshipping God in our own African way. We were not educated but we lived a natural quality life of our choice. Polygamy was our characteristics and identity as we biblically wanted to multiply. We had glorified and dignified traditional weddings that were merely divorced. Our skin color wasn't black but chocolate brown. We didn't use money but lived healthy and fairly on barter trade. We didn't have hospitals but we had our own traditional doctors. There was love, peace and harmony amongst us. There was no hunger, poverty, corruption, fraud, murder and hate. A neighbor was treated like a family, not a foreigner or an alien. Africa was partitioned by non-Africans in the absence of African leaders. We got colonized and our resources were looted to develop non-African countries. We were pushed to arid and infertile lands infected with tsetse flies and mosquitoes. Our skin color was tainted black and linked to evil. We were called barbaric blacks, baboons, monkeys, and kafirs in our homeland. We were embarrassed, humiliated, tortured, harassed, beaten, and killed to be depopulated. We were intimidated and forced to spy and expose one another. We were Africans in Africa without rights in their homeland. We were Africans restricted on where to go by non-Africans in Africa. We were slaves in our homeland. Our forefathers stood up and fought. We won and got back Africa to us. We called it independence, democracy, and freedom. African independence didn't come alone. HIV mounted on us. Poverty heavily came on us. Unemployment fell on us. Chaos blossomed to us. Cancer carried away our lives. Sanctions were added to us. Now it's hunger, drought, earthquakes, and cyclones. Where did we go wrong in Africa as Africans? African countries are all independent from their former colonial masters. Where are the fruits of independence, if I may ask? We now worship God in a non-African way. We are no longer polygamists, we are lesbians and gays. Sodom and Gomorrah was brought to us in Africa by non-Africans. African identity has been suppressed and diluted, polluted and converted. We Africans support non-African football clubs more than our own African teams. English, Portuguese, Spanish and French are our official languages at the expense of our own bank languages. We collectively fought together as Africans during our liberation struggle. We were not using visas, passports, emergency traveling documents, permits and asylums. What happened to our unity and togetherness? An African needs a passport and sometimes a visa to visit an African country. An African is annually given 90 days of staying in an African country. An African needs a certain amount of money to be granted permission to visit an African country. An African needs a study permit to start in Africa. An African needs a residential permit or an asylum to stay in Africa. An African needs a work permit to work in Africa. African speaks non-African languages more than their own African languages. Africans are called refugees in Africa, while non-Africans are called tourists. Africans are called poachers in Africa, while non-Africans are called professional hunters. Products manufactured from African products are unaffordable to Africans. Is this what we call independence in Africa? Why are Africans beggars while we have flora and fauna? Why do Africans need non-Africans to solve their own African problems? How many Africans have solved non-African problems? How many African leaders have sensitive posts like security in United Nations, and why? Is SADC and OAU helpful to Africans, or is a toothless bulldog? Why do Africans hate one another? Why are Africans helps rejected to cure Africans while non-Africans helpless cure Africans? Why are late African men called demons while their surnames are still in use? Our own traditional healers are now evil. Our own traditional leaders are politicians as puppets. Our traditional herbs are no longer important but useless. We own businesses in Africa. We own land in Africa. Who are investors in Africa? Who is controlling the African economy? Why are Africans still living in squatter camps in Africa? Why are Africans migrating to 9 African countries? Why are some African countries sanctioned? Who killed Gaddafi and why was he brutally killed? How far has Libyan economy improved after Gaddafi's brutal assassination? Where is African independence? Cry, my beloved Africa, until all Africans feel at home in Africa. Cry, my beloved Africa, until Africans completely gain total control of their natural resources. Cry, my beloved Africa, until child and human trafficking is over. Cry, my beloved Africa, until human abuse is ironed out. Cry, my beloved Africa, until Bantu languages are internationally recognized. Cry, my beloved Africa, until freedom of speech and freedom after speech prevails. Cry, my beloved Africa, until all African heroes and heroines are honored when still alive. Cry, my beloved Africa, until human rights are respected, not violated. Cry, my beloved Africa, until better life for all arrives to all Africans. Cry, my beloved Africa, until all Africans have decent shelter. Cry, my beloved Africa, until education and health is for free. Cry, my beloved Africa, until all Africans afford decent meals. Cry, my beloved Africa. Maybe our Lord will bless cursed Africa one day. I'm not an African politician, but an African patriotic poet. I'm a patriotic African ambassador through poetry. My message to Africans remains very clear and loud. My message to Africans remains poetic, not political. I'm not against non-Africans, but I advocate for African unity and peace. I won't keep quiet until all Africans wake up, smell coffee, and get united. I am open to it.
I keep quiet. I rest my case. Welcome to the Queen Amina show. I hope few of us has listened to that, and I listen to that video almost every day now. Why? Because it breaks my heart, and these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. But before we go into that, guests, let me introduce our guests, guys. I get very emotional when I start talking about Africa, because Africa as a continent, it's been, like I said yesterday, it's been painted with an old rugged brush for too many years. And it's time for us to come together as Africans, not just talking, as we're going to hear in this broadcast today, but to begin to actually do something, taking steps to actually do something. So, ladies and gentlemen, watching the show today, our guest is Mr. Ibraheem Ola Haruna. He is the CEO of Envision Learning Center Solution and Learning Solution, sorry. And he is another passionate guy about not just our country, Nigeria, but the whole continent of Africa, because we are one. If Nigeria is good, the whole Africa is good. If Ghana is good, the whole Africa is good. So let me just allow him the next few minutes to introduce himself while we go ahead and share the broadcast so others can enjoy and learn from this important information that we are going to be sharing. So, Mr. Ibraheem, welcome.
Thank you, Queen Amina, and thank you for bringing me on the show. You're doing a great job. Please keep it up. Just like you have said, I'm the CEO of Ambition Learning Solutions, but prior coming to Canada almost over 15 years ago, I worked in Nigeria and rise up to the position of a regional manager in MTN. And the last 15 years, I've been working here, doing a lot of work, project management consulting, helping organizations to deliver value. So providing training. I have trained thousands of executives, thousands of employees, and helping them to restructure organization to actually deliver projects that can give value to the organization and give value to customer and help organization, the company to realize return on investment. Companies such as Royal Bank of Canada, TD Bank, TELUS, and other big organizations here in Canada. And so outside that, I'm also passionate in terms of political space, in Africa and economic development in Africa. But just to also talk about my training company, I have trained a lot of people from different parts of Africa. In fact, I actually have more students from Cameroon than Nigeria. I've had a lot of students from Cameroon. And when they come to me, I always tell them, I say, look, I don't ask where you come from. You come to me, as a black person, I'm okay. I don't ask you where are you from, and I just resonate with you, and I start see how I can support, how I can help to actually empower you. And so that's a brief about myself. So I've been very much involved in Nigeria, and also trying to take my business down in Nigeria, and looking forward to do stuff in Nigeria that we're going to be talking about. And this is a very important topic that I'll be looking forward to talk about, and also waiting to hear a lot of questions coming in. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that brief introduction. Please, if you're joining us, if you're just joining us, help us share the broadcast. And also, I want you guys to just post in the comment section which country you're watching from. It has been brought to my attention that people want me to mention the country they're watching from so that they can feel represented. And I used to do that when I know which country you are watching from. So Tarek, Regelia, and so all the other people watching, please post the country or the location where you're watching from. That way I can make mention of your location while we are going on the show. Mulkat is from Canada. Thank you. You're welcome. So we have Canada in the house. I know we have Uganda in the house. The king from Uganda always watches my show. Thank you so much for coming on board. All right, so we are going to dive right into our presentation. And the topic for today is Nigerians in the Diaspora-Panacea to Nigeria growth. I am super interested in listening to what you have to say about this. So I'm going to give you the floor to just walk us through this before we start taking questions.
Okay. Thank you, Queen Amina. So there are different sections that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the introduction, talking about how we immigrate to different countries and who are those immigrants. Then after that, I'm going to talk about how the diaspora community can boost home country growth. And after that, I'm going to talk about how can government help. I'm also going to talk about different sections in terms of the impact, the kind of business that we can actually do that can actually help to impact the economy. So I'm going to start from who are those immigrants? When you talk about the Nigerians in diaspora, these are the people that migrated from Nigeria or a different part of Africa outside their home country to different countries. So they are called the diasporas. And according to some UN data, UN said we have over 1.3 million Nigerians in the diaspora. But there are also some unofficial report that says we have around 15 million Nigerians in the diaspora, right? And so when you say the Nigerians in diaspora, you're talking about people that are migrate. We're not talking about their kids, because sometimes some people make mistake. They think that, so a good example, say I have my children here in Canada. They were all born in Canada. They are Canadian. They are Canadian, but their father's root is from Nigeria, right? But some of those kids, some of them may want to claim their father's home or their parents' home country. Or some of them choose not to. If my kid want to say they are Canadian, they're Canadian. If they want to also claim they're Nigerian, they're Nigerian Canadian, right? So that's about the different kind of the immigrant. Then I'm going to now go into how the diaspora communities can boost the home country growth. When you look at the kind of money that people send to Nigeria, for instance, so doing my research, and you've been hearing the news about in 2017, for instance, Nigeria sent around 22 billion US dollars to Nigeria, the Nigerians in diaspora. In 2018, they sent around 23.63 billion, right? And in 2019, even higher, right? But let's even look at those money they are sending home. A lot of time people always make a mistake. They think some of those money really, there are many that are sent to their families, money that are sent to people to help people, to support people to buy goods and services, right? So those are the kind of money. And some of those money actually spent on investment. So the majority, the huge part of that money actually spent on goods and services, right? And again, I'm going to talk about the invest. So let's say you have a relative who have businesses, right? Again, part of those money support those businesses. And we have people who use part of those money to build houses. And we have people who use part of those money to do businesses, right? And again, when you look at the Nigerian here in the diaspora, right? They could be in US, they could be in Canada, they could be in Italy, they could be in different kind of countries, right? They have a different exposure, right? A good example, I'm going to use myself as a case study. I had my first degree in Nigeria, for instance, physics, and I also work in Nigeria up to regional manager level. And I came to Canada, and coming to Canada, I have worked in huge organizations, right? And helping those organizations to grow, to build world-class economy, right? And again, I also went to school here. So different kind of skill set, different kind of expertise. So those are people who are that exposed, they have something they can take back to Nigeria to help or to their home country to help, right? And so in terms of the skill set, the knowledge, so those are the educational part of it that can help, right? But again, um, you can talk about who are those people. You know, doctors, for instance, they can go and establish hospitals. People that are engineers, they can go and establish different companies. And I'm going to a little bit move away and talk about the kind of businesses that we can actually do. So before now, myself, a good example, I've been focusing on services, going to Nigeria to do services. But what I found out is very difficult. It has been so difficult to actually get customer. It has been so difficult to get people. I have spent a lot of money. Even last year I was there. I have almost 13 people that I wanted to train. Out of these 13 people, some of them could not actually afford to actually pay for the services, right? So just last week, I came on a Queen Amina show, and I was listening to Dr. Roy from India. And Dr. Roy, I listened to him, and he was talking about how they can help the innovative approach in Canada, how people can change and start establishing innovation hub and manufacturing and all those stuff. And after the show, I followed up, and I have a good discussion with him. And when I told him the kind of business I had been trying to do, he told me straight away. He said, "Nigeria is just like an India. You can't make any money from that." And I said, And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because nobody's going to pay for the services. People don't have the money, right?" And I say, "How about you focus on something else?" And I say, "What? Is there anything you can manufacture?" And I say, Let me think." Right.
Wow.
So right now I've changed my approach, and I say, okay, I think I have to start looking into manufacturing or production. Why? Because we're a consumer economy.
That's correct.
So we're a consumer economy right now. People will not pay money for training. People will not pay money for services, right? So, but if you manufacture something, people will buy.
That's right.
And we have the population. So why am I saying this? So those of us in the diaspora, we have to start thinking. So what can we do to help? So and there are a lot of ways we can do it. There are a lot of ways we can apply foreign investment in Nigeria by working with different kind of partners. By working with different kind of looking for loans or World Bank loans and different kind of loans that we can do, and also by partnership. Like a lot of time, we always go alone. The me approach is just too much, right? And again, we have to learn to establish trust. The trust in such a way that when 2 people, 3 people want to work together, come up with an agreement, partnership agreement that talk about shares and talk about how you can the win-win approach of it. And don't be too greedy. You make a little money, this guy make a little money, that's okay. And all of us bring in your different skill set to be able to go there to help. So that's part of the how we can help, right? Don't forget, we have different kind of skill set. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have different things, right? But if I a little bit move away again and talk more about skill set or how the people in Nigeria or in Africa can also embrace those of us in diaspora. And I'm gonna give a good example. Indian born executive in the US based technology companies, they play a very, very critical role in giving back to their companies in India, right? So the government in India welcome them. They give them land. They have a database for them, and they take a special attention for them. So that's one good example, right? How Nigerian government can help. Right? Ultimately, they have to be able to say, okay, those people in Nigeria, we are here in diaspora. If you come in, this is the avenue where you can register. You can register your company in this website. And when you are coming to Nigeria, we have an office where you can go to. And don't quote me wrong, we have some of those offices right there right now, like the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. But I think they need to do more. They need to open up their approach. And there are a lot of ways they can learn from us here, sharing the ideas that has worked in different companies. So this is the first part. I'm going to pause here to see if there's any question coming in before I go to the second part of it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that brief updates on the topic. If you're just joining us, please help to share the broadcast. I can see if you share, you guys cannot hide. Facebook have a way of telling you that this person is a sharer. So share the broadcast and help us to, spread the news. Reginald Outfit, Regalia Outfit. He says, you are right. Consumer economy needs a producer approach. Thank you. I like that comment. And he said Nigerians cannot afford to pay for services. He or she is agreeing with you. Tarek Nadev, where are you watching from? You said I should please write where you're watching from so I can make mention of that. Thank you, Regalia. Okay, so let's take the first question. When you spoke just now about Nigerians in the diaspora, yes, we are here and we have a lot of professionals here in the diaspora that are doing well. But do you think that the Nigerians in the diaspora are mentally and physically prepared to even begin to think of, things like this, considering the way, our country is? Do you think we are prepared?
So that's a good question. And I'm going to give a lot of some examples around that. When people left Nigeria, a lot of people left with annoyance. People were mad, people were angry, things were not working, and they all left. So when they were leaving, because of that annoyance, they think, I'm not going back. My kid will never go back there. Oh, there's no power, that's not there. And when they came here, they saw how things are, and some of them now start changing them. Oh, because of what they have gone through here, oh, I want to go back, right? But I'm here in Canada, for instance. Canada is made up of communities, the Indian communities, the Chinese communities, the Greek communities, the Ethiopian communities, the Filipino communities, the Chinese communities. So people are still together, right? So we're here in Canada, for instance. Don't think, so we're still Nigerian first before we come here. So if you think you don't want to go back to that country, you are making a big mistake. Who are you going to associate with to start with, right? I'm talking about I know about the mentorship, and I've seen a lot of people who say, oh, I don't want to go back, right? And I keep telling them, I say, yes, but think about how you can help, right? And I'm going to give another example. So there was a gentleman who went there. He tried his business. It failed. He came back here and went back again. Now his business is a multi-million-dollar business in Nigeria.
Okay.
Right? So and a lot of us that want to help. So some people don't want to go back. That's fine. That's okay. But we have a lot of us that are still passionate about that country. We're Nigerian Canadian. We're not Canadian. We're Nigerian first. Before you are Canadian, you are Nigerian first before you become a US citizen. You are Nigerian first before you become a Chinese citizen or a UK citizen. So don't forget that you have to still pay allegiance to both countries, right? So how you can do that is by working together and have this mindset that the only way we can help is to collaborate, right? And I'm going to go back to those people at home, in terms of how they need to embrace us, because when we come here, we have a culture and our culture has changed, by virtue of how the culture is. We are more softer. We have seen different things. We are not as aggressive as we used to be, because Nigerians were very aggressive. Why? Because we came from a UK kind of a cultural thing, but the North American culture is different, right? But so when we now go back again, the Nigerian, there sometimes they look at us and say, "Oh, we don't want to work with them," right? But we have to be able to say, how can we work together? How can I learn from them? So the Nigerian in Nigeria has to be able to have this embracing way of, okay, we have those people who have left out, who still want to come back and help. How can we work with them to help develop the economy?
Okay. The Nigerians here, the Nigerians in North America, do they have some sort of a business group of people together that are planning to, go back home to help? Or do they have an organization, an association? How are they trying to get together here before they would decide to even go home? Because going home as an individual, you already said it doesn't work and it's not easy, but partnering. So is there anything established over here to help that unity first outside here, to bring together the Nigerians in the diaspora on a round table setting to start these kinds of discussion? It's been everywhere individually, but I'm talking collectively now. Is there anything set out like that?
That's a good question. Myself, since I've been in Canada, I have been part of different organizations, NIDO, NCA this, NCA that, this professional this professional that. So we have so many segmented different associations or different groups, right? And that's difficult. Sometimes we see a lot of organizations where you have an expectation that this is the objective, but again, part of the problem of Nigerians is the leadership problems, right? Which we have to do better, right? I'm speaking out because I've been part of the community too, right? But there are still some people who are, I've seen people who are working together, right? I've seen people who are going alone. I have also seen businesses here who want to go to Nigeria. A good example, last year I have a company who is doing so well here, went to Nigeria. But somehow another problem is the government back home, right? Even though they're asking us to come back, they're asking us to come back. So the policy makers there, they have to be able to make sure they embrace us. They have to be able to show they provide that avenue where we can do things, right? So we have to be able to make the place, the economy, and welcome us to be able to do things, right? So that's part of that. So in terms of the association, yeah, we're segmented, but at the same time, we also have some groups that are working together. Even though it may not be as I would have loved to see, right? But again, we have people now that are trying to come together to see how they can go to Nigeria. And part of the problem we're having with some organization here is this, because Nigeria is a high risk. It's a high risk to businesses. Sometimes you approach some organization, they will tell you, we can't give you because Nigeria is a high risk based on the history, right? And that's why I always tell people, we like to share too many negative things about Nigeria. So when you Google Nigeria, what you get mostly is the negative things. So why can't we now change that approach and start sharing positive things? A good example, a Canadian want to go on vacation. He will go online and start to search where to go.
That's right.
If he put in Nigeria, and the only thing he could say about Nigeria is about Boko Haram, it's about this negative, about killing, about that, he will say, sorry, I can't go there, right? But we need to start showcasing, oh, how does Calabar look like? Calabar is a beautiful place. Or we have a port there. Or how does this Yankari Game Reserve look like?
My platform is ready.
Exactly.
We will never share bad news on this platform.
Exactly. So that positive thinking, right? And again, so how can we now work together and we have to be able to prove that we can do it, and we're going to get there. Some of us are starting working and start reaching out and say, look, it's about trust. I have integrity to protect. As a Canadian, I cannot go to Nigeria and do bad thing, right? Because why? They can easily report me to my government here in Canada.
That's correct.
So when you start thinking about that, you know that you're going there to represent both Nigeria and Canada. You can't just go there and mess up. If you messed up, that could jeopardize your integrity and your Canadian citizenship too also.
That's correct. Welcome, Helen Ruben. Please help us share the video. I can see some of you just coming in. Today we're talking about the Nigerians in the diaspora being panacea to Nigerian growth. And our guest is Mr. Ibraheem Ola Haruna. We started by introducing the topic and explored a little bit about how we can implement this our Nigerians in the diaspora to be part of the growth coming up in Nigeria. And my next question to you is, at the point where the Nigerians in the diaspora agrees together collectively to go to Nigeria to go and start something, what do you think is what sector of development do you think this should be focused on? I know you spoke a little bit about manufacturing and production, but what do you think would be the best sector of development that this collective idea should be focused on first to be able to achieve something first?
You see, Nigeria is growing. Nigeria is growing in so many areas, right? And I'm going to diversify to talk about an example. So everybody is going to Chinese now to manufacture things. And why are people going to China? Do you all think that China is all of a sudden just become a place where everybody can go? No. China used to be very bad, worse than Nigeria. Used to be worse than Nigeria in terms of skill set, in terms of the capacity, right? They used to be very bad. So, but what did Chinese do to change that? They focus massively on developing human capital development, hand skill base, trades and skill, right? And that's why the reason why Apple will go to China and manufacture Apple product is because if they go to a particular area, they're looking for 100 skill set that can do that thing. They see that person. Even here in Canada, sometimes we're looking for some kind of resources we can't find because it's not available, right? It takes up to average of 3 months to get a good developer. A developer is somebody that do coding of those apps you have on your phone. To get a good one, sometimes it takes an average of 3 months. It's not readily available. So China spend a lot of money to develop those hands and skill set. And that's why if you want to go to China, you have to be very careful. They can manufacture anything. So you have to be able to give them, and it's a good thing. You have to be able, and it's very cheap, right? Very cheap.
Doing something that just shut down everything. I didn't make
they can manufacture yourself, so if it's not taking, right? So you have to give them the specification you need, and they will make it for you, right? So Nigerian population is huge. So that is what we're going to have to go back for, right? We need to have to go back and develop the skill set that and make things cheap. A good example, if you want to build a website in Nigeria, it's actually more expensive than building here in Canada.
Tell me about that, yeah.
Right? And I always say to I say, look, if you make it cheap, you get more customer than is that expensive, right? So now answering your question in terms of where we can focus on, many things. In terms of agriculture, so now you're seeing a lot of people are focusing on rice production, right? Because they ban importation of rice, right? But how can we do in a standard way? You have storage, you have make it to meet the international standard, and that's number one. Even crops. There was a company from Cambodia that went to Nigeria 2-3 years ago. Their intention was to have some agricultural product and ship out of Nigeria. But guess what happened? When they started producing, they were selling their product in Nigeria, and they were actually making more money selling it in Nigeria than exporting it.
Oh, wow.
So they shelved the idea of exporting it. So agriculture is number one. Different kind of agriculture and actually manufacturing. You know, look at the cocoa. Cocoa, you buy it very cheap, and cocoa price has dropped drastically, but chocolate price is not dropping.
No. Never.
You take it away from Ghana or from Cote d'Ivoire, and you take it to Switzerland and manufacture the chocolate.
And then you sell it back to
sell it back to us.
More expensive.
More expensive, right? So manufacturing, right? And again, even food production. Turning the raw material into finished product, right? Different kind of finished product, right? Or being involved in other part of manufacturing. There are tons of manufacturing. There are different part, scale, different kind of scale. Even we have a lot of waste. How can we turn those waste back to product? All those plastic lying around the street. We can convert it to biomass. We can convert it to fertilizer. We can convert it to, we can get oil back from it. So one of my projects in 2012, when I went back to school here, was converting this plastic back to oil.
Wow.
Right? So we can still get stuff out of it. So there are tons of things we can do, right? But again, how the government need to be able to help in terms of, okay, and that's a Scottish government. What they did was they built a website. The website is called Global Scot. When you have time, go to Global Scot. So that Global Scot is as their diasporas will register their company there, right? And so that way, government is able to identify them and able to link up with them. So if you're coming to to Scotland to do business, they're able to link them up, right? So again, making loans available even in Nigerian banks, because sometimes the requirement is so hard. Last year some of those people came here and we asked questioning them, how come the requirement for the diaspora is as bad as the one in Nigeria, or interest rate is so high. So when you have 30%, 27% interest rate, that's humongous. So you're killing that business. You are not encouraging them. So you have to be able to lower the interest rate to encourage people, right? But again, those of us who are going, like I said, trust is very important, and sincerity of purpose. Sincerity of purpose in the sense that when you take loan, make sure you spend that loan in that project you want to do.
That's a big one. That's a big one. Some of these things that you said, I believe could be implemented easily through education.
Yeah.
Because the more we educate the people about these things, the easier it becomes for them to understand the need and the benefit, not just for them financially, but for the entire nation of Africa. Because if you're blessing people in Nigeria, the Nigerian economy will boost up and it would affect positively all the other neighboring countries, at large, the whole of the continent of Africa.
Yep.
So when people understand that, it would be a lot easier for the things that we are talking about, these strategies, this moving back home. So my question to you is, how can we start in the diaspora to educate the diasporans about this need of us coming together to go to Nigeria to, implement these strategies? Also, do you think there's enough education on ground at home in Nigeria, educating these other people, Nigerians in Nigeria, in preparedness to receiving the diasporans coming back home? So it's a two-way thing.
Yep.
How can we?
Yeah. So that's a good question. The first part of that question is, this kind of show is going to help. Making this show and having this conversation and sharing it, a lot of people, when people watch it, you can start resonating in them. That, oh yeah, it makes sense, right? And people now contributing, right? So one thing I want to also tell about Nigeria is sometimes we have to be able to share this idea of me, right, and see how we can partner, right, and how to be able to meet in the middle, be able to work together and collaborate together, and be able to go do something. So that's about the question around those of us here. Again, this kind of show can help. Even this kind of show can also help in Nigeria. It goes around on Facebook. I've shared with a lot of people back there, so they can start watching it and see, okay, wow, it makes sense. So we need to be able to work with them, because people back there must be able to accept us. I've seen that because I'm very much involved in a lot of political space. I've seen people when on chat, they will say, oh, you live over there, you don't know anything here. Oh, yeah, just there in Canada, you don't know anything. And sometimes I actually know more than you in Nigeria. Because every day I have access to internet.
We research a lot.
I don't have any issue with data. So I'm watching everything, and I'm actually more active. I'm participating. in the activities down there. So I still have family down there, right? So don't think I'm not part of Nigeria. I'm still Nigerian, right? So they need to be able to accept us that we're still part of them. We're still together, right? So that's another key importance, because sometimes some people say, "Oh, he lives over there. He's not here," but we're there. We're still there.
That's right.
We're both there and here.
Yeah.
So embracing us is the only way out. That okay, this guy is over there. How can I learn from him? So knowledge is something that you're not shy to learn. That's nothing about ego, about because he knows it, he knows that. No, you must be able. If somebody knows something that you think you don't know, be hungry to learn from him. Right. So those are the things that's going to help us. So the government must be ready to change their approach. Like this sample website that I mentioned, they need to have those kind of website. If I go to the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, for instance, or any other website that government, they need to have that website where we can actually register and make sure the website is actually working. Because sometimes when we go to some of these,
the website has to be working. That's
exactly.
a very valid point. Because it's one thing to create the website and throw it all out there. You click on it, it goes.
It's not working. Yeah. So yeah.
So education is key. We need to educate the people in the diaspora constantly, and also the people back home in preparedness to receiving the people from the diaspora coming home. They're not bank machines for you to loot. That's the truth. Work together and everybody would benefit from the whole deal. So my next question to you is, a lot of strategies, a lot of talks, a lot of people saying all manner of things on the internet, in Zoom meetings, on webinars, and but the truth is nobody is doing as much as we are supposed to do. And one of the reasons that I personally found out is the many Nigerians that come here. A lot of them come here with some money. It's not every Nigerians that come here broke. For you to be able to transport a husband, a wife, and two children, you must have some money somewhere.
That's true. That's true.
Correct. But when they come here as professionals, they quickly realize that, it's not what I was expecting. You have to start from scratch. I have nurses as my friends that are working as personal support workers right now because they couldn't get their licensing. We have lawyers that are working in Walmart. Nothing wrong with Walmart now, because you see they are the essential workers now. But my point is, they come over here to the West, and the amount of money they were making before, they're not able to begin to make that without recertifying or writing some sort of professional exams. So that would take another maybe 2-3 years of their life over here. Then they start facing the challenges of getting permanent in Canada, and then for United States is the green card and all of that. Now they had 6 years gone by. Okay, and then finally they arrive, they got a job, they have to start thinking of buying a house and maybe get more family members to come in, like having a child and all of this stuff. 10 years has gone by. Then they finally decide they want to go home to go make some business. I know why you're laughing, because you already see the picture. So my question to you is, investing in Africa is quite expensive. Me and you know that, okay? And people over here, they don't have such money. What are some of the ways that we can start helping to improve our lives over here so that we'll be able to have enough to now take care of here while pursuing this brand new open door back home?
See, the truth is, and I'm happy some people are watching from Nigeria, right? So when we move here, people always think that here is a bed of roses. We have everything we want. Quite all right, we have a good quality of life. We have stable power supply, we have data, we have road, we have all those things are there. Security are there, right? But when it comes to, and we pay bills, we pay a lot of bills, so the money you think you brought from Nigeria, after some time, the money is gone.
That's right.
And you convert it, right? And so again, reality set in. A lot of people when they come here, because I do a lot of mentorship, I always tell them, I say, look, whatever that you have back home, just forget about it. You may be starting afresh. You may actually change your career. You may change your direction. You may change everything. Just relax and see how we can work together and get you on the go, right? And a lot of people have been able to help, to support them, to mentor them to get to that stage, right? And because here, the reality is the way our system is different. Our working system is different. Our educational system is different. Our culture is different. So this culture shock will be there. Now you have to start seeing how to now come back and learn the Canadian way or the American way or the country where you are, their own system is different, right? And again, a lot of people, because they learn with, I always tell people, if you call me, if people that reach out to me before they leave, I always tell them, keep your network.
Okay.
Don't break your network. Don't say you are mad, you're running away. You may still need them.
Not me. You
Ha.
will
So
need them.
after some time, you might want, oh, this
You
is not
will.
for me. I want to go back, and there's nothing wrong about that, right? So people should. I mean, sometimes we see, and you should be able to. No big deal. You can still go back and say, well, guys, it's not as you guys think. Oh, I want to come back to hell, right? And so that's one part of it in terms of when people now come here, reality setting. If they want to go back, so in terms of getting money, for instance, if I have to go to Nigeria to establish business, my money enough will not be able to do it, right? So how do we do that? Is by source funding. That are money, maybe money from friends and family. That's number one. Number two is loans, right? Grants and all those stuff, right? So how can we work together? Even government of Canada, there's some investment they can still do in Nigeria. The small business or there's a foreign investment they can still do, right? So how can we work together to tap into those kind of funding? Is by collaborating. When they see that we have this sense of purpose and we can prove that we have integrity, we've done something here, we have credibility, right? And working together to be able to say, okay, yeah, this is what we can do, right? And we can be able to do it. Because when you look at Nigeria, government, even here in Canada, the government does not sustain the economy. It is the private sectors that sustain the economy.
That's
Right?
correct.
The banks, the manufacturing industry, the construction, and everything, right? Government, part of developing economy is very small, right? So well, in Nigeria, we all focus on the government, and the budget is very small. There's a little it can do. So what is going to lift Nigeria out of that situation is heavy investment through investors, and that's why going to invest, right? And again, be able to now guarantee that investment. Another thing the government can do is to ensure that people that come, they don't lose their money, right? They're able to invest. Sometimes I've seen people who does business between here in Canada and Nigeria. A good example, a friend ship a whole container of a vehicle, and this guy has been helping him to clear. And this day he cleared the 4 container and went to sell it and took the money away.
I've
And this
had
is just
that
one out of
experience.
many examples.
When
And
I personally had that experience.
this guy got home, he got the police. The police was asking him to give money again. At the end of the day, he forgot about it, right? That is not good, right? Trust. Because now you clear that 4 vehicle, that money is going to finish. And I have other people that was a manager in the farm. One day he cleared all the farm products, the palm and everything, cars, and went to sell it, right? He's going to finish spending that money. So if you work with people who are coming from the diaspora to establish, and you getting your salary or graduate process is better than you steal the money and run away. That money you stole is going to finish. That money you steal is going to finish, right? So cultural education is also very big, right? In terms of how those people that live in Nigeria look at those of us in diaspora, thinking that, oh, we are so rich, we have that money, right? And they want to steal that money from you. We've seen a situation where they actually killed those people that are coming from diaspora. So how much money are you going to take from the poor man? Take the money and let him go instead of killing him, right? So those people in Nigeria need to change their way of thinking, their mindset, right? That, oh, we're one, so how can we work together? Or how can I help to grow that business and be part of that business? and grow it instead of want to steal that money and kill this man, you know.
Amazing. Regalia outfit. He said that yeah, he's agreeing with you. Yeah, you need us here, like we take care of your outfit. It's not an advert. Well, I can advertise for you if you start taking care of my outfit too. So shout out to Regalia outfit out of Lagos. Is it Lagos, Nigeria? Okay, so yeah, send me your information and I'll promote you. I'll promote for you. All right, Regalia outfit. Thank you so much for your contribution today. There's a lot of comments from him that I'm gonna read down the road. All right, so yeah, thank you so much for that. Our time is fast spent. I will take one more question. This question I'll take from the audience. I would reserve my own questions.
We can always come back. I know there will be tons of questions.
Absolutely. The person said Nigeria has a misplaced development strategies, and we need a balanced development strategies before we can expect the Nigerians in the diaspora to start coming back home. And then that's a statement, not a question. And then the next statement says, no, the question now says that, do you think that this is a deliberate strategy to keep the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
So the first comment about it's not yet time, it is time. It is time for us to go by in terms of policies. We have working in the diaspora. We see how things work, so we can also help to replicate the same thing, to help change the mindset, to help change the culture, to help think in a big way. One of the problems of Nigeria is they don't think in a big picture. That budget is not even up to a budget of a province here in Canada. So there's little it can do. So because the budget is small, that's why the infrastructure is not well developed. So the money is small, and our people will still be shouting, hey, this is a big money. It's not big. It's so small. It's not even up to a budget of a city of Toronto in Canada, the whole country.
What money was that? What money are we talking?
The budget, the Nigerian budget.
Oh, the Nigerian budget, okay. Yeah. So, 4 trillion?
Very small. When you convert it to dollar, it's so small. So why I'm thinking the way is, those of us here can work with the government to help them think big. You know, how to massively develop the economy. See, the only way that can solve the issue of Nigeria is when you grow the economy. You have stable power supply. You have company coming in to establish where people can get employment. Because people are hungry. People don't have jobs.
That's right.
So you have to keep people busy. So when people are not busy, they have time to do other things. So how can you keep them busy? Is to ensure we alleviate the policy on encouraging small businesses to thrive and medium and large scale businesses to thrive. Right? If you have many industries working, they can employ more people.
That's true.
So that's the only way out. But when you keep saying it's not time, when is it going to be time?
Never.
I have been here for 15 years, for God's sake. I'm just saying it's not yet time, it's not yet. And when I left, Nigeria was that bad, it's still bad, right? It's time. It is time for us to go back and help and be able to help move the country forward. So what is the other part of the question?
The other part of the question said, well, the question we deviated a little bit away from it. The statement was Nigeria has a misplaced strategies. Okay, and it says Nigeria needs a balanced strategy to be able to make everything work. So the question is, do you think this misplaced strategy is a deliberate act to keep the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
It is not. A good example, I'm sorry to make this, to refer to the late Abayari, who traveled to Germany and came back and died of COVID-19. And we only have one ventilator in Abuja, which was designed for the president. And they have to ship into Lagos, and look at that. Okay, the rich, if this is deliberate, they will make sure they have good things there too. Okay, in a situation where the rich cannot even help themselves, does that make any sense?
This is a big eye opener, if I may come in there. That when Nigerian rich people get sick, they fly out to other countries to get treated. With the case of COVID, nobody could go out. So if this doesn't open our eyes in our country, I don't know what else. Because
so if I may add to that, it is not a deliberate. They don't know.
No, yes, I agree.
They don't have the knowledge.
No,
They think they know, but they don't know.
no, they
But it
don't.
is very dumb to steal money and go save it in abroad, and now you cannot actually access that money in abroad. It is very dumb to take money and keep in your children's account, and that your children sometimes some of them get into an accident because they are too happy, they have too much money in their account. This is very dumb. It makes more sense that when you are on top of a policy or you're supposed to award a contract, award that contract and supervise it. You yourself will benefit from it. If you ensure the road that is supposed to supervise works, you're going to apply that road. If you ensure our policemen are well equipped, they are well secured, when you need them, you call them, they will come to your aid.
That's right.
If you ensure that our hospital are well equipped, they have everything that needed to be there, when you're sick, you can go back there. Correct. If you ensure that you have policies that businesses can thrive, when you need that, you can get it. You don't have to be imported. It's so expensive to import things to Nigeria. Just to let you know, if you think you have that money, you're buying this from abroad. You're buying. It's not cheap, right? Those people, they don't have peace of mind. So in a situation where, as a rich man, you can't walk freely on the street because somebody can lynch you and attack you,
right? Because of anger.
So it's not a deliberate strategic. It's because they are dumb. They don't know that they're supposed to actually make it work, and everybody will be happy.
That's right.
If they create an enabling environment, they themselves will benefit from that enabling environment. Nigeria have a beautiful weather. Absolutely. That even white man want to, people that want, see, I work in MTN or with the mobile telecommunication company, and we have contractors that they want to go, they don't want to leave Nigeria and go back. The weather is so perfect. The people are nice. They have free this, they have free that.
I love my country, and I tell people, what do people say, Queen, you always smile. I said, yes, because that's how I grew up. We are resilient people. Nigerians can stand anything in the world. Even if the heavens fall, we're still smiling. And that is one thing that has kept us all going. Well, guys, this is all the time that we have for you on this show today. Before we go, could you please take the next 1 minute to tell our audience how we can connect with you? And, you know, if people want to follow you or call you up for consultancy, how can connect with you?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Amina. Thank you, Queen Amina. Thank you for bringing me here. It's been so nice coming here to be able to speak and contribute and talk to our people, right? And share my knowledge and experience. If anyone want to contact me, please reach out to Queen Amina. She has my contact, and you can always get it. We can talk, and I'll be looking forward to come back here to continue the conversation. This is not a topic where we can only speak one day. It's a continuous. We have to keep talking. We have to keep exploring, and maybe next time we come, we should be able to have more update. If some of you have issue around you want to go to Nigeria, for instance, let's talk. You know, let's look at strategies. Let's look at avenue where we can share notes and share experiences and that can help you to thrive. So let's keep talking. And thank you, Queen Amina, for bringing me here, and thank you to our audience for listening to me.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow with Are Onakakanfo of the Odua Progression Union, in the person of Dr. Gani Adams. So he's going to be our guest tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, so we'll be talking about similar in line with what you discussed today: security of people and properties in Nigeria. Because there's hunger, then there's wahala.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, guys, thank you so much for connecting and joining the Queen Amina show today. Tomorrow, we're going to be live again, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook and YouTube. I just want to give a big shout out to Regalia Outfit for your wonderful contribution. My friend Celestina, Helen, Terek, all of you that joined us and made today a possible successful broadcast day for us. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our guest is Dr. Gani Adams, the Are Ona Kakanfo of the OPC nationwide. He's going to be sitting right here, and we'll be discussing about the security of people and property in Nigeria post-COVID. So see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Until then, keep watching the Queen Amina Show.